Hey guys, Seeney here, and welcome to another video on the Australian Wealth channel where we discuss everything finance, real estate, stocks, you name it, pretty much anything that involves making money. And this is going to be a really fun video today because we are talking about passive income, the holy grail. Okay, everyone loves the idea of passive income that comes in regardless of whether you show up to work or not. And once those streams get going, it's a really great way of earning money. But there's one important thing to remember. There is no free lunch. For a lot of these income streams, you're going to have to put in a great deal of work to actually make them happen. It's not as simple as just doing 1 or 2 hours work and expecting money to just come streaming in. If you think that's the case, then this is probably not the video for you, because a lot of these passive income streams will take a lot of work to get up and running. But of course, when they are up and running, they're quite easy to maintain and will continue to make you money over time. So the best way to generate passive income is to smash the like button and subscribe to the channel. It really helps the video get out so more people can see this and they can get some more of those passive income tips. So of course, as always, this is not financial advice. This is an entertainment video that can hopefully give you some information about some of the interesting passive income streams that are out there. Obviously, for your situation, you need to do your own research and make your own decisions. But seriously, there's a lot of different ways that you can generate passive income. I'm going to talk about 5 of the most common kinds. Okay, so the very first one that I'm going to talk about is dividend stocks. So a stock is an ownership share in a company. Now, in the stock market, there's a lot of companies which don't pay any dividends, and you're just banking on the appreciation of the share price over time as the company becomes more profitable. However, there's a number of companies that have become incredibly profitable and have reached the maturity phase of their business that do pay dividends. And basically what this means is that the company will pay you money just for owning a piece of the company, which is pretty cool. So there's a number of different stocks in both Australia and in America and all around the world that pay dividends. And these are usually described as a dividend yield. These dividend yields are measured in percentage terms. So for example, let's say that we wanted to buy into AGL, which is a gas company here in Australia. They're paying a dividend of 6.5%. So that means for every $100 you put in, you'll be getting paid $6.5 every single year. So when you're playing with small amounts of money, you're not going to get much dividend income. But you can imagine with a much larger amount of income in these stocks that you can generate substantial returns and actually live off this income. For example, if over years you manage to build up an investment portfolio of over $1 million and you put $1 million into the Commonwealth Bank, they're currently paying a dividend yield of 6%. So that would be $60,000 a year just by owning Commonwealth Bank stock. So there's a lot of dividend paying companies in Australia. Some other examples are NAB and Westpac. A lot of the banks tend to pay dividends. And of course there is Fortescue Metals, which does a lot of mining, and they have a dividend yield of over 7%. So when you're looking at buying a dividend stock, it's really important to make sure that it's going to be a company that's going to be here for a long time. There's many companies out there that throw off massive dividend yields. I've seen some as high as 15%. And sometimes it's not always the best idea to invest in those companies because they might go bankrupt and you could lose all your money. So long-term, stable dividend aristocrats who continually increase their dividend over time are definitely the way to go. Some examples of dividend-paying companies in America are McDonald's, who pay a dividend yield of 3.3%, the Simon Property Group, which pays over 12%, Coca-Cola, which pays 2.7%, and Walgreens Boots Alliance, which is currently paying a 3.6% dividend yield. So there's a lot of pros to investing in dividend stocks. Most dividend aristocrats are very consistent and will continually pay that money out quarter by quarter, or every half a year, or every year. And the other thing about dividend stocks is it is so easy to collect that money. It just gets paid into your brokerage account and you don't have to do any work. It just turns up from you owning the stock. However, one of the biggest cons with this type of passive income is that it takes a lot of money to generate anything substantial. So in the case, you'd probably need about $1 million invested over the long term to actually generate a decent amount of income to live off. Okay, so the second type of passive income that I'd like to talk about is real estate. Now, this is a big one which is very common all around the world, and that is just through owning a rental property. So when you own a property that someone else rents, they are paying money so that they can live there and you're collecting that. And if the mortgage that you're paying on the property is lower than the amount of rent that you are collecting, then you have a passive income stream. You are collecting money every single month from that rent. So real estate is a fantastic passive income stream if you can get it working. Now, the thing with real estate is that you can use the equity in a property to go and purchase more properties. You don't actually need the money if you've already put some into a property and you've built up equity. So by having one property, you can then leverage and get a second and a third, and this income stream can increase quite dramatically. And not only that, you'll generally have an appreciation over time in property prices as well, which when you're leveraged can be quite a large amount of money if you own a fair few. So real estate is a lot harder to generate passive income than dividend investing because there's a lot more steps, it's a lot more difficult to buy a property, and there's a lot more hoops that you have to jump through. And of course, you have to have tenants to be paying that rental income. And if tenants aren't able to afford that rental income, like what has happened in the last few months, then you can be at risk of having to pay that loan back yourself and money coming out of your pocket instead. So in terms of the pros of this investment, it's relatively stable. It's generally accepted that real estate over time is going to appreciate in value if you're holding for a long period of time. You have the advantage of leverage, which is a lot safer in real estate than it is in the stock market. You wouldn't want to go leveraging like 10 to 1 or 5 to 1 like you can do with real estate. It's a lot safer to use leverage to your advantage. But of course, the cons, a down payment for a rental property can be really expensive, so you will need a fair bit of money up front to actually get that working. And of course, on top of that, there is the risk of vacancy, not having a tenant in your rental property, and that means you'll have to cover the mortgage, and there's other associated costs as well, like fixing the house if something goes wrong. There are also a lot of tax advantages that come along with real estate because the government wants people to be building homes. But of course, for anything to do with depreciation and to do with tax, it's best to talk to a professional. Okay, the third type of passive income, which is a really common one, especially within the music industry, an industry that I work in a lot, and that is royalties. So every single time you hear a song played on the radio or a video on TV, or you play a song on Spotify, the songwriters of that particular song are getting royalties. So what that means is every single time that song is played, they're collecting a little bit of money. And over all of those plays, especially if you're a larger artist, then you're going to start to collect quite a substantial amount of money. So just as myself as a musician as well, I've collected over $6,000 just this last financial year in royalties alone, just from my music getting played on the radio and on TV, and also through streaming services such as Spotify and Apple Music. So in terms of the pros of this type of passive income, it's really easy. The money just gets sent to me from the label, and there's very low monetary outlay. You just pay to record your tracks and get them out onto the radio and any of the promotion that goes with that, and then you can collect royalties. However, the cons with this one is that royalties can be really low unless you have scale, unless you've built up a bit of a brand name and there's a lot of radio stations and TV stations that are playing your music. And the other thing is it requires talent. So moving on from royalties, another form of passive income is Shopify dropshipping. So I'm sure you've seen there's a lot of videos on YouTube where people are showing off what they've been able to do with Shopify dropshipping. And one of the most powerful things about the way this works is that you're harnessing the power of all of these massive supply chains all around the world. There's people that run Shopify stores that have managed to generate millions of dollars every month in sales, which is really impressive. This is something that I don't have a great deal of experience with, but it's clear to see that it has worked very well for a lot of people if you're willing to put in the work. So one of the pros of Shopify dropshipping is that it is very scalable, which means that you have access to the entire world quite easily through Facebook ads, Instagram ads, and of course, you don't have to keep hold of any inventory. You don't have to keep hold of any stock, which is really, really powerful. In the past, if you want to be selling products, you had to have quite a large inventory that you would then send out once people order, and there's obviously an outlay cost to that, but in the current world, that is not an issue. So of course, Shopify dropshipping can be incredibly profitable at scale. If you're just doing a small amount, it's probably not going to be super profitable because of course you have to buy the item before you ship it to someone. But once you scale that up and you're doing hundreds, even thousands of orders a day, then it can become very profitable very quickly. So some of the cons with this type of passive investing is that it requires a lot of knowledge and understanding of how drop shipping actually works and human psychology of how people buy, which takes a lot of time to build up that knowledge. And on top of that, there is some risk involved in the case of running Facebook ads to sell product, because you might spend all this money on Facebook ads and not get sale. So it's really important that you understand what you're getting into and you have an extensive knowledge of drop shipping so that you can make money. Okay, and the final type of passive income that I wanted to talk about today was, of course, YouTube passive income. Now, something that's been really incredible and has allowed YouTube to become one of the most successful platforms in the entire world is that whenever there's a video on YouTube, YouTube is normally running ads inside or before or at the end of a video. Now, the thing that separates YouTube from a lot of different platforms is that YouTube actually splits the ad revenue with the creator. And I think that has been a fantastic idea for them because it's incentivized creators to get on the platform and continually create really high quality content. So there's a lot of people on YouTube that are making crazy amounts of money. I know that Graham Stephan, for example, who's in the finance space in America, has a massive channel, over 2 million subscribers. And every single month he's generating over $150,000 in passive income from the YouTube channel alone. Yes, so YouTube can be a very lucrative source of income if you have the patience to actually build up a brand and have something to say that people are interested in on the platform. So some of the pros of YouTube is that it is very scalable. You have access to the entire world. It's, I think, the second most visited website in the entire world at this point. And on top of that, it's a really cheap investment to start up. All you really need is a smartphone of some kind or a really cheap camera to start creating content. Now, obviously you can spend a lot on content creation. You know, like if you look at Mr. Beast's channel, for example, he's giving away like millions of dollars on that channel. So obviously you can go from a very budget setup and then be going through to something really extreme. But of course it is quite cheap to start, which is a great advantage of YouTube. However, like everything, this form of passive income also has its cons. And for example, in the case of YouTube, it takes a lot of time to build up a great community around your channel. And it can be a lot of upfront work without any return. So it's something you have to keep in mind that you'll probably be working for 9 months to a year without receiving hardly any money at all before you start to build even a decent following on YouTube. And even then, it is not guaranteed. So that's it, guys. I hope that you found all of these passive income streams really useful, and maybe you can start to use one or two of them to supplement your income. So thank you guys so much for watching. This is the Australian Wealth channel where we talk about finance, the stock market, business, basically anything to do with making money. So make sure you like and subscribe to the channel, and we'll see you later.